My name is Patti Perez, and I am on a mission to revolutionize workplace culture. For the last 25 years, I've been known as the workplace wolf. Has anybody seen Pulp Fiction? The wolf is a guy who comes in and cleans up messes, right? That was me in the workplace. I got called when there was a mess that needed cleaning up. It was great fun. I was a voyeur. I got to read text messages and emails and see the way people behaved at work, or probably more accurately, the way they misbehaved at work. I have fabulous stories that I can share at any time. But after doing that for so many years, although I certainly discovered a lot about behavior, what I also discovered was the fact that we haven't changed much. We haven't moved the needle when it comes to issues related to workplace culture. We continue to struggle with ways to engage our employees, have them be loyal, committed, and really have their morale be high enough so that they can be productive members of our workforce. Leaders are still confused, stressed, frustrated about how to make a truly positive workforce. So this is where I come in. I am proposing some new, revolutionary ways to look at workplace culture so that we can actually make a difference and an impact on the workplace experience. Let me start before I give you the 3 points that are going to be the beginning of my secret sauce to how to make this work. Let me start with what I call my aha moment. It happened a couple of months ago. I've conducted over 1,200 workplace investigations. Again, fabulous stories. But as a result of that expertise, I get invited to speak, to present on that topic quite a bit. And that was the case a couple of months ago when I spoke at a conference for the California State Bar. It was up in Los Angeles. Drove up, and a very eager young man approached me to take my car, and I wanted to make sure I was in the right place, so I asked him if this was the place where the conference for the State Bar was taking place. He said it was, but he looked at me kind of perplexed and said, "What's a State Bar? No idea what that is." And I said, "Oh, you are surrounded by employment lawyers." And his immediate reaction, which I've seen tons, was, "I better get a phone number, because you never know when you need an employment attorney in your back pocket." I smiled, shrugged it off. People say that to me every day. But it did sort of get me thinking, you know, it's interesting but sad that the first reaction people have to having a workplace conflict or some concern at work is, "I need to run to a lawyer." It shouldn't be the way we think. I go in and I prepare for my presentation. Did I mention I have really juicy stories about my workplace investigations? I'm going through teaching people practical ways to conduct thoughtful, thorough, fair investigations, but I'm using as a backdrop one of my juiciest stories. Very common fact pattern. A CEO is having an affair with one of his subordinates. Everyone knows about it, but they don't say anything. What changes? The CEO decides to promote his mistress to a VP position. At that point, people care. So the HR person makes a claim and says, "This is unfair. I come in to investigate." So great fact pattern. A gentleman in the front row raises his hand, and I think, oh, he's going to ask me a question about this fact pattern. I'll talk about it. This is great stuff. Instead, he says to me, "So I'm curious, this HR person who made the report, can she be liable for defamation?" What? I'm not thrown for a loop very often when I present, especially not on a topic that I have expertise in. But this threw me for a loop. I didn't say so out loud, but what I thought to myself was, how interesting. I am here to teach you one skill, and that is how to reduce workplace drama. And this gentleman was intent on increasing workplace drama. But again, it's that mentality of legal compliance, us versus them. How is it that I can make an even bigger mess out of a mess that's already occurred? So I drove home, and we've all driven from Los Angeles to San Diego. You know that I had a lot of time on my hands to think. So I did start thinking about this. And again, neither conversation was unique. What was unique was that they occurred within a 1-hour time span. And I really did start to think, what is wrong with our workplace? We have employees who think I have to run to a lawyer, and we've got managers who think, how can I make an even bigger mess? And they really are two sides to the same coin. So I started thinking, there's got to be a better way. We have to stop playing the game not to lose, and instead playing to win. So I've come up with 3 ways that we can start this revolution. It's only a start, but it's a good start. The first thing is stop listening to tired legal advice. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm an employment lawyer, so in some ways I have the freedom of being able to criticize lawyers, but many of my colleagues are wonderful lawyers and they give great advice. They have keen legal minds and they understand business and they give great advice. Not all of them, though. Many of them give horrendous legal advice, advice that is rooted in fear and paranoia. And let me share an analogy with you that hopefully will drive that point home. So, any fans of My Big Fat Greek Wedding here? Yes. Love that movie, right? So imagine this. Imagine that Maria Portocullis, the night before Tula's big fat Greek wedding, says to Tula, Tula, you are getting married tomorrow to Ian Miller, who is a fabulous man. But Tula, he will cheat on you and you will get divorced. That's how the world works. So I have two pieces of advice for you, Tula. Every email that Ian Miller sends to you, save it. Second, Tula, every conversation you have with Ian, document it and keep it. So that way, when the inevitable happens and Ian cheats on you and you go to a divorce lawyer, you have lots of evidence that will help you in your divorce case and you will take Ian to the cleaners. Sounds crazy in that context, but that is precisely the advice that employment attorneys give to employees and to managers. Am I saying don't document? Of course not. Am I saying don't comply with the law? Of course not. What I'm saying is that if you enter a relationship, any relationship, including the one at work, with that mentality, that gloom and doom mentality, that relationship is going to hit the skids faster than Gus Portocullis can whip out a bottle of Windex. Not the way to go. The second proposition I have is we simply need a new way. We need a new language. And at the root of why we need a new language is that we've got a lack of trust in the workplace, and we've got a lack of an ability to be able to express ourselves in a clear and precise way. So I'm working on the details of that plan, but the second call to action really is embracing a new way of communicating at work, of making decisions at work, and again, at the root of it, of starting to trust each other more at work as employees and employers. The third call to action is that we need to embrace that we live in a brave new world. And that new world is where employees are reclaiming their power, and it's largely fueled by social media. Susan Fowler was an unknown engineer from a little company called Uber. She wrote one blog post detailing the harassment that went on at Uber. As a result of her blog post, which went viral, the CEO had to quit his job, a board member had to leave, but here's the biggest point. Uber lost $25 billion in enterprise value in 3 months. This is no longer just about legal compliance. You have to be concerned about the image that you are portraying as a corporation. So that's the third thing, is embrace this new world. So communication, collaboration, and trust at work are some of the hallmarks of what I'm doing to revolutionize the workplace. Won't you join me?
Yeah. Thank you.